Hi, my name is Angie, also known as The Light. Welcome to my channel. Like, subscribe, and if you'd like to make a donation to me, my PayPal information will be in my description box. Hey guys, I hope everybody is well. I was like, you know what? I think I haven't did a video in a couple of days, so I was like, you know what? Let me get on and do a video. Yes, I cut my hair. I'm in love with it. Hopefully y'all are in love with it too. Ugh, short hair. Don't care. I don't know. I feel like hair is so spiritual, and when I'm feeling too stressed or I feel like I'm in this place in life where, everything is just feel kind of spiritually stuck, I cut my hair. So it's spring. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to cut my hair. And I felt like so much spiritual weight had lifted off of me just from cutting my hair. But I still left some, in the front. And as y'all know, I am a hairstylist. So yes, I did color and cut my own hair. And I'm so in love with it. I feel more mature too. Anyway, so today I want to talk about how the narcissist never takes accountability for anything that they do, and this will piss you off. And this was something that I never could get used to when it came to the narcissist. They really would piss me off with this, and with no accountability, they're not going to apologize. They're simply not going to. They will do anything and everything to not admit that they're in the wrong. It was their fault. They hurt you. They did XYZ. And I think they would rather die before they would actually apologize to you. Okay. I always got a story for you. So I'm going to tell you this story of probably the only enemy that I have in my life. And I don't even like to use that word enemy, but this is someone that probably if we saw each other on site, actually she's the punk, but if we saw each other on site, we probably would want to fight each other. Okay. I mean, I don't hate her, but I dislike her. Okay. And it's sad because I feel like she has been my enemy my whole life, since I was a child. Okay. And I'm a person that has longevity when it comes to friendships. A lot of the people that I'm friends with, I have been friends with them 10, 20, maybe even longer than that. I'm 34 now. But most of my friends, I've known them since I was a kid. We're talking some of them 5, 6, in my 20s, early 20s, teens. Most of my friends that I'm close with, we've been friends for 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. Okay, anyway, this girl, we're just going to call her, let's call her Anna, okay? So Anna and I met in school, okay? And we shortly found out that we started going to the same church, okay? So we were in school together and we went to church together. So I got really, really close with Anna. And Anna also lived a couple of blocks from me. So she lived in my neighborhood. We went to school together. We went to church together. And we kind of got close really, really fast. Okay. Of course, as a kid, I'm going to say I was probably about 8 or 9 years old when I met Anna. And of course, 8 and 9 years old, I didn't know what the hell narcissism was. Okay. So Anna and I, we would play like after school, and then little by little she started coming to my house like after church. My mom was very domesticated. She was always the one who would invite like my friends over and my stepsister's friends over. My mom was a great cook. She would cook, after church on Saturdays. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, so we had Sabbaths. So every Sabbath, my mom would cook, she would cook before the sun had set. the night before. She always had lunch, prepared for our friends, or family, whoever, to come over to our house. My house was always packed on the weekends, okay? But anyway, so, yeah, my mom would say, oh, you can invite your friends over after church. So that's when, Anna started coming to my house, officially, like, coming in my house. Now, growing up, even though I grew up with the narcissistic stepdad, I had plenty. I always had plenty. I will never take that away. I would never say I grew up poor. I didn't have clothes. I didn't have toys. I had all of that. I was just emotionally abused as a child, and sexually abused. But when it came to material things, I had plenty of that, okay? I didn't grow up poor, not that there's anything wrong growing up poor, but I'm just trying to paint that picture of how I grew up and what my childhood was like. I always had plenty. Of course, the narcissistic stepfather, he wanted to always appear a certain way. So I always had plenty. So, and being the codependent that I was, because of the lack of attention and love that I was given, I was always very, very giving, even as a child, okay? And always desired friendship and some type of connection. Being that my mother, she was loving, but she was so depressed because of her relationship with the narcissist. My stepsister was a narcissist, so she was very detached from me. I always felt alone growing up as a child, okay? Anyway, so that I always looked at my friends as basically like family, like a second family to me. Anyway, so Anna and her sister, they started to come over to my house to play and to eat after church. And through time, I started noticing, like, a couple of my things were missing. But being that I had so much, I thought, okay, maybe I lost it. Like, I remember I used to have, like, this big, tall Barbie dream house. And I had, like, the Barbie Ferrari and, all these dolls. And I remember I don't know why, I used to have a keychain collection. So at any time, like, my parents would travel somewhere, or I would go somewhere, or someone in the family would go somewhere, I would, buy a keychain or ask them to bring back a keychain. So I remember I had, like, all these keychains, and I remember it's like, dang, what happened to my keychains? Like, my keychains were missing, okay? And anyway, so one day I'm in school, and I remember, like, even clothes were missing, okay? And back then, Guess was, like, in the 90s, Guess, the brand name Guess was very, very popular, okay? And if you bought anything name brand, you would know what it is. You would know. Like, you're not going to know if someone, like, was wearing your t-shirt, like a white t-shirt, or even a shirt like this. You probably wouldn't even notice it. But if it's name brand, you're going to notice it, right? Anyway, so I remember going to school one day, and I remember having, like, this Guess shirt. And I saw Anna in school, and I was like, oh, Anna, I have that shirt too. And she was just like, oh, okay. Oh, you should wear it, one day. So I remember going back home that day, like, after school, whatever. And I remember, like, looking all in my drawers, like, where's my shirt? And I'm going, like, this is weird. Like, my shirt was missing. That particular Guess shirt that Anna had on in school was missing. And I was just like, I didn't catch on. I'm 9 years old at this point. I really did not catch on, okay? So then another incident was when I was in church one day. And, sometime in church, sometimes your parents didn't want you to sit next to your friends because they didn't want you talking during church. But my mom, she was cool. She was like, yeah, Anna can sit next to you. So I remember, like, Anna was sitting next to me, and she got tired, and she put her head on my lap. So Anna fell asleep during church. So I'm still sitting up. I'm watching the sermon with my mom. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I just decided to go through Anna's little pocketbook, okay? You know how you had a little dress in your little pocketbook when you went to church? So I go through Anna's pocketbook, and I pull out her house keys, and I'm looking, and like half of my like little keychain collection was on Anna's keys. And I'm like, these are my keychains. So I take the keychains off, and I took them and put them in my pocketbook. So when Anna had woke up, I asked Anna, I'm like, Anna, what were you doing with my keychains? And she was just like, oh, I borrowed those, from your house the other day. I was going to give them back. Me being 9 years old, I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. I let it go. But every time Anna came to my house, shit was getting stolen. This girl was stealing clothes, shoes, keychains, everything. You name it, Anna was stealing my shit, okay? And, through the years, through time, I heard from other friends, too, that when she went to their house, she was stealing their shit as well. And a couple of times she got jumped for stealing people's stuff. So anyway, me being always that codependent, that loyal person, I continue to be friends with Anna. Let's skip all the way through to where I'm probably about 13, 14 years old. And when you're 13, 14, around that time, you probably have like your real serious crush, okay? And at this time, there was a boy in my church who I loved. You couldn't tell me nothing. He was going to be my husband. Now, here's what's really scary about this guy. We're still cool to this day, me and that old crush. Do you know he married a woman who has my first and middle name? Okay? Talk about how the universe works, okay? So my childhood crush, my real name is Angelique, okay? He married a woman named Angelique. But anyway, I could write a book about that. Anyway, so this particular guy, let's call him Steve. So I was crazy about Steve. All my friends knew that I was crazy about Steve, and so did Anna. So, when we used to go to choir practice, for church, after choir practice, all the boys, from our choir, would walk us home. So Anna knew I was so crazy about Steve. I wanted to go out with Steve. I just didn't know how to tell Steve that I liked him. When you're young and you have this crush on someone, you write in your little journal about them. You're obsessed. So, crushes like this were major when you're a child. Major. You're fixated on this person. So these particular boys from church, after choir practice, would walk, me, Anna, and whoever, all the girls who lived in our area or close to our block. So, anyway, Steve and I don't think Steve knew I liked him, you know what I'm saying? We always would communicate with each other, talk to each other, but I wouldn't, flirt with him. I'm 13, I didn't know what flirting was, But anyway, so this one particular time, after choir practice on a Friday night, we're all walking home. I turn around and I'm like, why is Anna walking with Steve behind us? I wasn't getting it, okay? I'm 13 years old. It's not really clicking, but it's kind of clicking. So we got to a certain point where people were going to branch off. I lived this way, Anna lived that way. And I remember turning around and looking and seeing Anna tongue kissing Steve. And I'm just like, oh my God. Now, when you're 13, that is that's betrayal, okay? Even now in my 30s, that would be betrayals too. Kinda, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't say anything. I was just in total shock. I could not believe it, and as the years went by, she did this to other friends too. Whoever the girl liked, she went after the guy. And this is what narcissistic women do, okay? Even as an adult, even in adulthood, it gets worse and worse and worse, okay? So, through the years, I heard all these different stories of her sleeping with people's men, husbands, all these different things. Okay, so let's trickle up to adulthood. We're in our 20s now, all right? Straight up narcissist. She starts sleeping with a married man. She gets pregnant by this married man, and instead of aborting the baby, not saying that she should have, because I don't really believe in abortion, but she basically allowed herself to get pregnant by this married man. I guess wasn't using protection, wasn't taking the pill, and she has a baby by a married man. The married man doesn't leave his wife or anything like that, okay? Now I'm telling you the story of her whole life. She's destructive. Her whole life, this is who she is. I want to tell you this because this is just how they have been since birth or childhood, okay? Now, anyway, so she has this baby, and she ends up capturing a very nice guy, okay, while her child is an infant. And she wasn't, from this country. She's not from this country. So I guess in her little narcissistic mind, she says, jackpot, I caught this guy. She caught a very beta type male, very docile, very nice, sweet, nerdy type of a guy. And he ends up marrying her, knowing she just had a baby by a married man. She wasn't legal in the country. He still marries her. I guess in his mind, he's thinking he can change this girl. I went to their wedding. When I met this guy, I was in total shock. I'm not going to lie. I was in total shock that such a nice guy would, marry this woman. And a lot of us wanted to help him and warn him, like, don't marry this girl. But we didn't. We stayed out of it. Okay. During the entire marriage, she treated him like shit, okay? Just used him for his money, would withhold sex. Then towards the later years, she ended up having a son with him. Anna ended up having a son with the guy. And even though she was married, she still continued to have an intimate relationship with the married man that she had her daughter with, her first child, okay? And just continuous to be disrespectful, to treat her husband like shit. And eventually she began to cheat with someone else, okay? She withheld sex from her husband, and then she began to have an affair with another man, okay? So while her husband's going to work, she's having an affair with another man, and she gets pregnant. Yes, while she's still with her husband. Long story short, to that portion, that's the reason why her and her husband had to get divorced, because she was already having a baby with someone else, okay? So the husband, he leaves. He has no choice. He leaves. And what's crazy, she went on and had even another kid with another man after that, okay? So yes, now she has 4 children. What is that? 4 different men? Yeah, 4 children, 4 different men. Okay? But anyway, to go back some, I just wanted to tell you the end result of how her marriage ended. While she was married to her husband, her and I were still friends. Okay? And I had a birthday party. And I invited her to my birthday party. And at this birthday party, there was a guy who I was dealing with him at one point, and he showed up to my birthday party. But he was engaged. You know, it was one of those situations where the person, you know, they've moved on, but they're still kind of holding on to you. That type of situation. I guess he like wanted to see me before he went ahead and married the woman he was going to marry. So he comes to my birthday party, and I've been drinking. Everyone's been drinking and stuff like that. And when he comes in, Anna's like, who is that? And I'm just like, you know what? He's off limits. One, I used to deal with him. Two, he's engaged. He's getting married in 2 months. Actually, it was like a month. He's getting married in a month. And she was just like, oh, okay, well, he's fine. And I said, all right, whatever. So the next day, the guy contacted me, the guy who was engaged, who I used to deal with. And he said to me, that girl, Anna, she asked me for my number at your birthday party. And she followed me, you know, she sent me a friend request on Facebook. And I'm going, do you know that she's married? And he's like, no, I didn't know that, you know, she's married, but I'm just letting you know, what she did. So I text her and I asked her, why would you ask this guy for his number, knowing one, I used to deal with him, and two, I made an announcement that he's engaged. So before I can even approach her husband to tell on her, she tells her husband some story like, oh, Angie's going to contact you and tell you a lie. But whatever she tells you is not true. Okay? So keep this in mind. So after this whole ordeal at my birthday party, I cut her ass off. I mean, I should have cut her ass off years ago, but I didn't, okay? And that's because I had no idea of narcissism. When you're in religion, they tell you, be Christ-like, be Jesus-like, and everything is, oh, forgive and forget and move on and be the bigger person. So that's basically why I kept, allowing her to violate me, steal from me, talk to guys that I used to talk to or liked, and, talk behind my back and, just try to emulate me. And I mean, she did every narcissistic move you can think of. Okay. Now, so let me get to the juicy part, because I'm already at 23 minutes. Okay. And my point with you telling you all of this is that the narcissist never ever takes accountability. So now she has been shady. She has been a narcissist her whole life. Okay, her whole life. She has done all this scandalous, dirty shit. Okay. So when she what happened was, she used to work at a Adventist school, a religious school, a Christian school, basically. And when the school found out that she was having a baby, the school said to her, well, somebody reported you and said that your baby isn't your husband's child. Okay. And they told her if she can't provide a DNA test showing that her husband is the father of her child, that she is not to report back to work. Okay, because when you're working for these Christian institutions, there are certain things that you can't do because, of course, in the Bible, you're not supposed to fornicate, you're not supposed to commit adultery, you can't be going around having children with someone else and you're still legally married to someone. Their divorce wasn't finalized either, and the baby was conceived while she was married to this particular man. Okay, so karma hit her ass. To this day, I really couldn't tell you who called that school or went up to that school and told on her, basically. Okay, so that happened. She lost her job. She had to go on welfare for a while. She was living in a basement apartment with 3 children at the time. And through all of this, okay, I'm not gonna lie, her ex-husband approached me. Like, oh, you know what? I've always thought you were attractive. I always thought you were a nice woman. And can I take you on a date? And I was just like, no, you know? But we did build a friendship because I knew him through her. He wasn't like a stranger to me. And being that I'm a nice person, I wasn't attracted to him at all. He was not my type. I didn't want any of her, leftovers. I think it was just more of like, I felt bad for the guy. I felt this guy got done dirty. I've always thought he was a nice person. So I began to, build a friendship with him. And it was completely like innocent. Okay, I didn't like become friends with him to get back at her, because I felt like, whatever was happening to her can't compare to the revenge or anything that I would do to her in return. Pretty much, I feel like when God is going to do something, he does it better than anything that we can even fathom. Okay, anything we can imagine that we would want to do to the narcissist, he tops it. Okay, so all this bad stuff starts happening to her. Somehow, someone, I don't know, must have seen him and I together, or heard through this grapevine, or I don't know if maybe he said something to someone because he liked me. Okay, and I began to get messages from people on Facebook saying that she was talking about me on her Facebook. That she was sending threats through people to me. And I was just like, these threats were just so empty, because this girl knew where I lived. She never decided to come to my house. She never texted me, called me, inboxed me on Facebook. They were just basically empty threats and promises. She didn't want it, basically. She really did not want it at all. I think she was, I'm not going to say scared of me, but she wouldn't fight me, pretty much. Okay, so everything, all that she had sowed, okay, all that she had sowed, she was reaping now. Okay, every little seed that she planted, she was getting the fruits of her evilness. Okay, she was getting the fruits of her evilness, and she couldn't stand all of it. When I finally spoke to people like from her family, and I spoke to her ex-husband, what was told to me was that this woman truly freaking believed her life was going downhill because of me. Because of me. Everything that she has done through her life, all the stealing, or the lying, or the whoring, I mean, even up until the point when she said she never talked to that guy that I used to talk to. She never tried to get with him, and how her life was going downhill. It was me who called her job and got her fired. How about no? It wasn't me. It was your whoring that got you fired. And this is how crazy and deranged these freaking narcissists are. She never apologized to me. She never apologized to her family. She never apologized to any of us for everything that she had done. She really blamed everything. Everything is going wrong in my life because of Angie. And I'm just like, is this girl for real? She was so serious. She was dead ass serious. She went around and told people, tell Angie I'm looking for her. I want to fight her. She ruined my life. It wasn't even me who called that job. When that karma comes knocking for the narcissist, they will get it. Okay? She somehow even convinced her husband at the time to take money out of his 401k. When she took the money from him, she this is like right before their divorce. She took the money and was just like, I'm pregnant by somebody else. I don't want to be with you anymore. I guess he had no way of accessing the money. To this day, he's still paying back the money that he took out of his 401k. I mean, this girl straight up evil, okay? And I hear, from her family members, she is still convinced after all these years, this happened about 4 years ago, that it is me who ruined her life. And even after all of this, these 4 baby daddies, she still has like a new man. I tell you, it's like the most disgusting people, the most evil people are always finding someone. They're always finding a victim. And none of her relationships last, of course not. I wouldn't be surprised if she leaves this earth with 10 baby daddies, okay, and a couple of husbands. I'm thankful, I'm happy that her ex-husband had the strength to actually, I don't think he really left her. She left him, but I'm glad that God intervened and allowed that to happen. But the narcissists are always taking L's. I thought my camera had stopped. The narcissists are always taking L's. Everything and energy that they put out into the universe always comes back to them. And a lot of times you don't really see it happening, but it happens. My camera's blinking.